Internet, what is really, really, really good? You know what it is. It's the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And of course, I'd like to welcome you guys back to another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks on Yo. Kamen Rider X8, episode number 6, man, and we right back in it. Had a week break. For some reason, everything that I usually do took a week break, and I am really glad about that, but that's for another video. But we gotta get to this X8 business because, yo, my children, more of these dynamics in play, because you couldn't have told me that there was a link between Call on Duty Black Ops, Tattle Quest Man, and Graphite. You couldn't have told me that, and I would have believed you. Is that the thing is that we at least understand and know that Hero was always an asshole. We get that. He was mean to his girlfriend that died, that made Graphite get his full power. So, at least in that dynamic, we do understand the consequences for what happens if Kamen Riders fail to do their job to exterminate the Buckster. That makes sense. Is that what it is that I am trying to understand is, and just for future sight, is how that dynamic about Graphite is going to evolve. Because there's got to be something more to it than that. And that also leads into what's going on with Gim, because it kind of brings up the question, is Don being controlled by the Buckster? Is he, because we understand that they're the reason they have the gamer drivers, but what's really going on with Miguel over there? That's kind of the question that I'm on, because you have to sit up here and you have to wonder, was he infected by the Buckster? And was he enough of himself when he created the gamer drivers to understand how much bad news they are, but is enough corrupted by them that he sees this fight between the Kamen Riders and Bucksters as no more than a game? Pun intended. So it's a lot of that dynamic in play, and it's like I really hope the story gets back to exploring that side of it, because I am more for real. I am more entwined in understanding this ever-twisting helix of what's really going on inside this man's mind. And because of the pace that the show is moving, and like I said a couple episodes ago, is you have to really wonder, like, how long you can drag that out before some resolution has to come, because that's not something, again, and I said this before, that's not something the show should drag out 50 episodes. It's not something that the show should drag out to the final power. It's something that should be resolved, I say, within the next 10 episodes. That's something that you resolve with a toy that needs to be sold. That is just the thing that makes sense, because the one thing I always remember when I look at this is that this is a show designed to sell toys to Japanese children. So I have to assume, and even in my future sight, to understand that you solve a problem like that by introducing the toy children have to buy. That's it. That's all. That talking about the toys in this sense is because I'm looking for an answer to my own personal questions about where the show is going plot wise. Is that's going to be solved by a toy, because that's the thing that makes sense. Not that I care that the answer to my question is going to be solved by a toy, but how else do you solve that? How else do you solve the dude who created the thing that we use to fight the bad guys as a bad guy himself? You solve that with a toy, because that's what you do. However, to get to the last portion before we get up out of here for the day, I'm feeling Tattle Quest Man's level 3. You know what I'm saying? The whole beatbox shit. You know what I'm saying? Gave him a hat and some headphones looking like a b-boy shit. That shit is hot. Because I really like the power, because it's like that, because it's like the only thing that I kind of disagree with about that whole thing was they played that weird instrumental of Excite instead of something different. Which then makes you wonder, is that, well, Konami, that's probably the only game Konami makes now that's not a pachinko machine. So you wonder, are songs from like X8 gonna start showing up and stuff? Because if you guys remember last year, Ghost theme ended up in I think in Taiko Drum Master last year, if I'm not mistaken. I think the ghost thing ended up in Taiko Drum Master. So with a show going all in about video games or whatever, it wouldn't surprise me to see that song in Taiko Drum Master, or to see that as a song as part of the new Dance Dance Revolution, because Konami makes those still for whatever reason. I gotta say, because the first fight was alright, because again it demonstrated the power that Tattle Quest Man was going to get. Dancing to rhythm of the beat. Okay, I get that. That makes sense to me. But then when he finally got the power to transform, and he danced around the little mini dudes like, yo, you're missing. Boom. I'm like, because it's like, again, we are talking about a show that sells toys. Like, it's not gonna work that way in real life. I get it. But it was a way to faithfully and successfully demonstrate what the hell this thing does. And it was interesting to actually see Hero actually use a power-up for a change. But again, you have to understand that because that fight was what it was, where the stakes were a bit higher, because this had something to do with his dead girlfriend. So you could see him, throwing the rules out the window, because in a fight like that where revenge is on your mind, you're going to want to do anything and everything to get the upper hand on your opponent. So that's about the whole episode. I didn't miss anything. Let me see. Dance Dance Revolution, Level 3 Tattle Quest Man, Hero was always an asshole, dead girlfriend, complicated issues with Dan, and then his alter ego being Gim, or some shit like that we already talked about. I think I've all covered everything. Whew, boy. Man. I'm just glad to have this one in the books, man. I'm like, yo, real talk before we get out of here, man. Yo, your boy been busy, man. Doing some stuff. And once I get everything together and get the crew and we sit down and I can tell y'all what's going on and stuff like that, and stuff we trying to plan, because, yo, shit changing, man. Shit has been changing, and because of these changes, it's like it has affected how it is that I do business. So I am trying to figure out a way to continue to do business the way that I want to, in a way that makes me feel happy, because that's what's most important, doing what you do to make you feel good. So that's why I do this, you know what I'm saying? Agree or disagree with anything I say or do, I do this because I make me feel happy. Whatever happened after I throw up on the internet, that's what happened. So with that being said, X8 is in the books. I think Ruby is back to showing an episode. The Cool will be out sometime later today. It was supposed to be out 2-3 days ago, but because of all this busyness I got, it'll be out, and then probably the Cool that's supposed to be out for this week will probably come out regular, so it'll be back to back. So I'm working on that the best way I can to get that out for people who read it, things like that. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna turn this into a video, because that is what I do. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I am, of course, the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And of course, I'd like to thank you for joining me for another episode of Triple the Guy Speaks On. And with that, get started.